She's on the
money.
She's on the money.
Hey, She's on the Money. I need some advice because I'm feeling so conflicted. My husband and I bought Tesla stock ages ago, way before all of the Elon drama. We've been open about what to invest in, and when Trump got in, some friends started saying we'd gained wealth by supporting a racist and now we should sell. Now with the stock dropping, obviously a lot of investors are jumping ship for that reason. I don't agree with Musk's political views, but we had planned to hold long term. My husband isn't fazed. His friends aren't bringing it up anymore, but I feel guilty. Now the drop is confusing me even more. I don't know what to do.
Personally, I wouldn't have shares in like something that's a kind of like as bad or as like it's not. You know, I kind of have a lot of ETFs and stuff like that and I don't know where that money's going. I'm like kind of like my head's in the sand, which is also bad. But it's like if there's something that I'm investing in that's unethical, it's not as in my sights as like Musk is obviously, you know, supporting Trump. And I mean, we don't want to get into politics.
I recorded a whole episode on that, and what you're telling me right now, Beck, is that I know you don't listen to my podcast because I did a whole episode and I discussed Trump's tariffs and Elon and all of that drama. So obviously go back and listen to that.
Okay.
But we do want to get into that. I don't want to get political, but I will explain policy to you.
Of course. I think that like personally, I would not be investing in Tesla right now or anything that I know that I can't ignore, that is not, you know.
But you did it beforehand. So like, let's say ages ago, you were like, oh my goodness, like electric vehicles. I've started my investing journey. You went and purchased a heap of Tesla stock, right? And that has been performing for you, Beck.
Yeah, I couldn't anymore.
No. So would you sell it?
I would sell it.
How much of a loss would you be willing to take to get out of that investment? What if you personally, you lose thousands of dollars by disposing of that stock?
That is a good question. I think that I would, I mean, in an ideal world, I would have been aware of the whole, you know, Elon Musk thing.
But you wouldn't have, because historically he was seen as an evangelist. Yeah. Like he was seen as somebody who was doing really cool things.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot to him that now, like, in hindsight, we all have realized that, he's a bit off on the whole.
Yeah.
But like most people buying Tesla, they had no idea. They thought they were investing in a future.
Well, I guess
not in some delulu.
No,
man
totally.
That is besties with Trump.
But I do want to preface all of this by saying, like, if I had friends who invested in Tesla, that's so fine. Like, I'm not at all, you know, kind of going to put my views on them just like for my own personal comfort. I would be not doing that. But yeah, I guess like in, you know, because we now know about Musk. We now, you know, whether you're for him, against him, whatever, indifferent, it doesn't matter. Now we have kind of the information. So unless I found out I didn't align with him in that way, the same day I lost thousands of dollars and I did not know before. Like if it's a slow descent and I kind of am like, I don't know if I like this, hopefully I'll get it earlier. But if it so happened that I lost so much money the exact same day I found out I did not like Musk, then I would probably stay in until I made some money back and then got out.
Yeah.
But if it, I you know.
But it's like the question of like, how much are you willing to lose in order to uphold your values, which ultimately impacts your future wealth? Like it's such a hard thing. Jess, what would you do?
It's so hard to discuss ethical investments because obviously
no such thing.
Well, yeah, and it's a deeply personal topic because I would argue that Musk is a very strong example. You know, like we've seen how he treats women. We've seen how he
David.
You know, the policies that he's aligning himself with politically, which personally very much go against my own personal value set, But if you look into it more deeply, I would argue that the vast majority of blue chip stocks are held by either individuals or companies that are ethically ambiguous on some level. Like I think that the vast majority of big corporations in some way, shape or form are not good. Do you know what I mean? And again, it really comes down to your personal compass, but whether it's their environmental practices, whether it's the political views held by their senior VPs, whether it's, the way that they treat women, whether it's the gender pay gap. We saw a lot of data. We saw a lot of data come out on that this month. There are all of these ethical issues that I would argue are held by maybe the majority is the wrong word, but like a significant portion of the shares that a lot of us are probably investing in, either through ETFs or funds, or whether they're individual shares that you've selected because you like what they're doing or where you think they're going. And so I think it can be quite hard to overlay your moral compass along with your goals for the future, because you would rule out whole industries a lot of the time purely based on, and I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, because I think at the end of the day, you really need to do what you're going to feel good about. And so for you, Beck, you've said that I would not feel good holding shares, like for example, Tesla, knowing that they are doing the things that they're doing, knowing that Musk is supporting and et cetera. And I don't think I'm the person to tell you what's right or wrong in that situation. It really comes down to what you think. For me personally, I'm going to sound like a money hungry person, but I don't know that I would be willing to sell at a significant loss, or any loss for that matter. I think that my future security is something that's really important to me. And would I look to sell once I was in the green? Potentially. But also I think that it's so hard, because I do agree that we should vote with our money. Like, I think that that's something that's really powerful. But I also think that, like sometimes those things, it's not a Venn diagram, or it is a Venn diagram.
It is.
It is a Venn
diagram.
It is a Venn diagram, right?
It's not. It is. It's not. It is.
The two things are not mutually exclusive. Like, a good investment is not always going to be ethical. Often, I personally believe it isn't entirely. And so it becomes quite complex when you're deciding, well, do I uphold all of my morals, or do I look out for future me, or do I find a middle ground? And I mean, I don't have a good answer for you if you can't tell by the way that I'm rambling, but I think that it's really deeply personal. And I think it comes down to what you think. It comes down to what ethical issue it is, because some might be more important to you than others. But I personally probably would honestly prioritize my future financial security, if I'm honest.
That's fair.
I don't know if I feel good about that as I'm saying it, but that's
okay.
honestly the truth.
Sorry, I took so long to say that's okay, because I was like, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that's okay.
I know that, Jess, you seem to be having like an internal conflict of whether you would or you wouldn't, and I don't. I don't, because at the end of the day, I invested with intent, and my intent was pure from the beginning. And I'm going to uphold that. Yeah, I'm probably going to sell later down the track when it's good. Let me step back for a second. When I was a financial advisor, I had a client come to me who inherited a couple of $1 million. And they inherited a couple of $1 million from a grandparent who had invested really aggressively, and that's where the money was made. And they came to me and they were like, I want to go through my share portfolio with you, and I want to sell most of it because none of it's ethical, and I hate this and I hate that. And I was like, totally, come in, review the whole thing. So we go through all of this, and one of the shares that his grandpa had bought was BHP. And that share was bought so long ago that it was purchased in British sterling.
Wow.
So that was when he had purchased it, right? So he had held it and continually invested. And do you know what that does to a financial advisor? Yeah, but do you know what that does to a financial advisor who has to calculate the gains and their what your capital gains would be payable on that amount should you sell it, so that I can give you proper financial advice, and you're dealing with historic currency in the bin. 1 out of 10. I hated that. Anyway, I did all the maths and I worked it out, and he was going to have to pay so much capital gains tax if he was to sell, because at the end of the day, he'd made a lot of money because it was purchased so long ago, but he didn't feel like it was ethical. And so he was in this predicament where it's you own this asset, and this asset is making you money, and this money you're not feeling that good about. So instead of selling, because I was like, dude, this is going to be a terrible financial decision. We're putting ethics to the side, but now we're overlaying ethics. Are we willing to lose this amount of money? Ultimately, the answer was no. And we then worked together to find a solution that was actually taking all of the money that he was making from BHP because he decided that he didn't want to be invested in it anymore, and taking that money that company was making and investing it in things that were directly working against BHP.
I love that.
So that made him feel really good about it. We were investing in areas that were also growing, that were, actually providing really good returns. So he ultimately kept the BHP, we invested in other stuff, and over time, as their dividends were coming in, they were all going over here. And if we could, we were selling off bits and pieces as things happened. If the market dropped or if he had a serious loss in his portfolio, we were able to absorb some of it. So over time, the plan was to sell it down, but not all of it. And I think something like that could absolutely happen. So if you have an investment that you're not adoring or that you feel is a little bit unethical, but it doesn't make financial sense to dispose of it immediately, obviously stop investing in it today. Just hold it over there. What are you doing with those profits? Are you investing them in other electronic cars? Are you investing them in other assets that you feel are more ethical? And then maybe let's ride the investment wave, wait until it comes back up, and then we can sell it and maybe even do a direct swap. So sell it when it's sell it for the same amount that you purchased it for. So you're just disposing of it, and on the same day, invest that money in something else. Make a plan. Yeah. So I think for me, when I put my financial advisor hat on, instead of just taking into account your ethical values, I also need to be I need to put future you in the best possible financial position. How do we do that and also make you comfortable with it?
Yeah.
So that's probably the analogy / story that I hope kind of helps you go, I don't necessarily have to dispose of everything. I can actually have a positive impact. And yeah, put your money where your mouth is. I get it. But also, we are not in a privileged world where losing thousands of dollars just because you invested in something and now they're a douche is fair. That is not fair. Selling your assets and losing money because of him is just going to make you salty long term.
He's laughing all the way to the bank because he's rich anyway.
Exactly. Let's wait until he makes us some money, sell the stuff and invest in something else.
I think to Beck's point before though, you said you would never put your opinions on your friends. And I think that's probably the one other element that I would highlight is I really don't think that your friends should be so aggressively, it's one thing to have a conversation where you challenge each other's thoughts and feelings, but it's another to really put somebody down over the choices that they're making.
That's not a friend. A friend doesn't make you feel like trash about decisions that you're making.
What did
we asked our friends.
We said,
you've invested in a you've invested in a company, but the CEO starts making headlines for all the wrong reasons. What do? They said, yep, I'm going to sell. Can't support that. 33%. 8% of you said, only if it drops, and 59% of you said, no, a share isn't its CEO. Next question we asked, are ethical investments important to you? 29% of you said, yes, I invest with purpose. 59% of you said, I try, but profit matters. 12% of you said, nope, I'm just here for returns. Iconic. And then we said, hey guys, what's your 2 cents? First person said, I'm sure if we dig through a lot of CEO closets, we're going to find a lot of skeletons.
I completely agree.
Jess ain't wrong. Next person said, separate the art from the artist. Musk sucks, but investing in sustainability is a slay.
Yeah.
Someone else said, I refuse to let that man take my sanity and my money. Another person said, perhaps you could balance the shares with more ethical company, which is kind of what I was talking about.
Yes.
Someone else said, there's accepting that no CEO or company is perfect, but Musk is next level bad. I'd be getting out.
That's fair.
Yeah,
He's
that's fair.
pretty crazy.
And I've got 2 more for you. Second last is, if you saw these headlines and then invested, that's sus, but I think you're fine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the last person said, your money has power. By selling the stock, you are sending a message.
Yeah,
which
that's
I think
where my
is,
dilemma
I know,
comes
that's
in.
what I'm
I agree
it's
with
just
that too.
perpetuating the dilemma, right? From my perspective as an ex-financial advisor on the ethical dilemma, I don't want you to lose money because you had your heart in the right place to begin with. Let's just let that balance out over time and dispose of it later.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, it's been fun, guys. Thank you for doing another Friday episode with us. We have had a very good time, but we'll see you bright and early on Monday morning for a Money Diary.
Bye, guys.
Bye.